Anthem on the track. Live from the land of snakes. With the same nigga playing your weight. Wanna give your hands a shake. Bitch, we got bands to make, rubber bands to break. Guns and butter, that land on lake. Got bread, got plans to break the Brooklyn way. When Tony killed Manolo, had to look away. It's a war going on.
I'm out here with Red Pill in the Blue, outside of the debate, wrapping it up. Snowing outside of New York City. What's your take, brother? I got a lot of critiques on the debate. People thought Harry underestimated the amount of information the conscious community had. He came with a lot of basic knowledge, fluoride and calcium. Yeah. What's your take on the debate, brother? What you seen? Do you think there was a winner, a loser? Talk to me, Red.
I think Harry represents the majority of the outside world when they view quote-unquote black people in the level of where their intellect is. Because to be honest with you, if you're watching VH1, you know what I'm saying? If you're watching any mainstream depictions of where the consciousness or the level of intellect that black people possess in 2016, you would come to a debate trying to teach people about fluoride and some stupid shit like pineal glands that we learned in the 70s. Okay, like that's super old, and he jacked KT the Arch Degree's whole evolution, the evolution conference. KT the Arch Degree did his whole thing about the acacia tree and things of that nature. So I didn't even see any original information coming from Harry Rozenberg. It was a lot of fluff, you know what I mean? A lot of, hyperpole or whatever the fuck they call it. But what it wasn't was a high level of intellect that I knew that he wasn't gonna bring. I said it, we was on a radio show, I think about 4 a.m. last night with Knowledge Born Allah. I was like, Harry's not gonna show up. He's gonna come and pull a Ray Hagan. Ray Hagan debated Wesley Muhammad and showed up and said, I didn't even know it was a debate. So Harry showed up doing a lecture at a debate and got embarrassed and washed, and he got to go back to the farm and go, hug one of his hens and deal with that. I mean, it is what it is.
With that being said, Red, one of the quotes Polight says, he had an Instagram video, and he hashtag, I am too smart to be broke. Considering the level of intellect and information that we have within the conscious community or within this knowledge or whatever term you want to term it, we know some shit, Red. To the point where outside races are coming in, they telling us something. We like, nigga, Phil told us that in 88. Sabi told us that in 85. Like, what is 2016? Do you think this is a wake-up call like, yo, if this dude Harry has a farm, has a beer company, flying on a private jet, you motherfuckers is advanced. Y'all supposed to be way beyond that. Is this a wake-up call to us, considering all the information and knowledge we have collected decade after decade?
One thing about any community, I said this before, is I don't care what community you belong to. You could belong to a community of niggas that sell crack. You could belong to a community of women who take their clothes off, you know what I'm saying, for a room full of men and collect money. You have to add value to your community, bottom line. So the problem that we got in the conscious community is it has no fucking value, all right? The shit that Phil Valentine brought centuries ago, damn near decades ago, there should be a level of value added to that. Then Polight wouldn't have to ask why the metaphysics teachers broke. And I'm not using Phil as an example. I'm just saying that if our community would add value to the work and to the research and to the things that we do as teachers and scholars, we would not have to have these conversations. There would be a level of philanthropy that takes place. So when someone is studying for a debate or when somebody is studying for a lecture, they don't got to worry about bills. They don't got to worry about where they getting their next meal from. They don't got to worry about the mundane things because they carrying their whole fucking nation on their back. So Harry Rozenberg has philanthropy. Harry Rozenberg has people, benefactors, who take care of him. Harry Rozenberg belongs to a community where they value the information of the Torah in their rabbis. That's all you're saying. Don't ever get it fucking mixed up. That's what it is. So if the conscious community added value to what they did, if Phil Valentine wasn't getting fucking robbed for 30 years for his intellectual property, he would have wealth. Facts. And if anybody else, like some of the elders who died in poverty, if they belonged to a community that cared about them and they had philanthropy in their community, they would not die impoverished. They would not have to be poor righteous teachers. So that's the difference between what Harry is stunting on niggas trying to show them and what we dealing with. So God bless Polight. He's showing you that he's bringing value back to the intellect, to the intellectual property, and to the intellectual movement of our people. And he's raising the bar and he's raising the stocks. That must continue. So we don't got to go through that no more.
Did it seem kind of weird when to hear Harry Rozenberg continuously tell Polight his pineal gland is calcified with all the knowledge you received from Dr. Laila Africa, Dr. Phil Valentine, Dr. Sabi, Bobby Hemmett, Richard King, and the list goes on and on about Europeans have a calcified pineal gland? Did it seem kind of strange to hear that coming from Rabbi Harry Rozenberg?
Well, you could tell because we live in this age of information, this quote-unquote YouTube era, that Harry been watching a lot of YouTube videos. And he may be unaware of the fact that the Europeans that are coming out with this new information is regurgitated information that was brought forth before there was even a quote-unquote YouTube, right? So they're rediscovering this information by picking up DVDs and lectures and whatnot and then reteaching our people. So shame on the brothers and sisters who getting their knowledge from Europeans on YouTube. Shame on the brothers and sisters who are not elevating their minds to search for the information from people that look like them. There you getting caught up in this web of these teachers who are regurgitating information. They're not giving it to you the same way that it was given to you by the master teachers and whatnot. You got people running around regurgitating shit that Harry Rozenberg says, David Icke, you know, the list goes on. It's all of these names that they come up with, but at the end of the day, what the fuck are they saying, or what the hell, pardon my French, because I know people get, you know, upset when we get passionate and we use profanity and whatnot, but, you know, it is what it is. We just expressing ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But for the sake of the children that are watching, I have to be more responsible. So like I'm saying, people like Harry Rozenberg and all of these European teachers, they are using information that it don't even stand on its own. Like, what are they telling you that you haven't heard from your your master teachers?
Polight mentioned something in the debate that I thought was extremely profound. He mixed what's going on in 2016 with what the ancestors that we revere so much in Kemet did. And that was something that was incredible, and it was comparing emojis to the metal netta. I've never seen nobody do that. I had that thought in my mind before, I never articulated it, but it was amazing, and he broke down how we use language we're coded totally different from the European. So the same way they can't comprehend our emojis and they hear us say, I'm about to get that bread, and they might think it's literally a slice of bread, it's the same way they can't decode our ancient spirituality. It was profound. It's something that somebody who never studied the metal net will be like, oh, that's what our peoples were doing? They was on that emoji shit? So what's your take on Polight's approach with using modern day technology and comparing it to our ancient sciences?
Didn't Wayne Chandler call that ancient future? Emoji, emoji, emoji. Like, you know, the brother is able to relate today with yesterday. That was promised to us. They said that the ancestors will have returned. So he's showing you that we here. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak in entirety about that segment because I wasn't there for that segment. I might have stepped out at that moment, and I was taking care of some business and whatnot. But, you know, from what it is that you just told me, it definitely makes sense. You feel what I'm saying? It definitely makes sense. You know what I mean? So, you know, we are the inventors of language. That's why we have taken this English language and created all kind of words. Every week it's a new word. Every week it's a new reinterpretation on words that was given to us that we flip, turn up. Europeans think you might be talking about a goddamn vegetable. Oh, where's the turnips at? No, we turn it up. You know what I'm saying? And all of these other things. So we are the inventors of these languages. So it will continue. We will continue to reinvent. We will continue to, reappropriate terms and definitions because, the power is in defining terms, right? And they want to give it all of these negative connotations like slang and all of this other stuff, but that's just what we do.
To end it out, if there's one thing somebody could take from the presentation Polight brought to us, is he's trying to raise the self-esteem of a people who he feels as though have an inferiority complex. When you look in the dictionary at the word humble, the definition says having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Now this is something that our most spiritual teachers teach us, to be humble. Polight said, fuck being humble. I just read the definition. It said you have a low estimate of your own importance. Do you think as a people we have been given a false sense of humility and it has hurt us in our quest to regain what we had in ancient times, Red Pill?
What you just did by defining that term is something that our people definitely need to do, even when we're studying ancient texts, even when we're studying modern texts. Learn the definitions of these words, because if you learned the definition of being humble, you would not want to be humble. You would understand that that does not apply to you. You feel what I'm saying? So, being humble or practicing humility is something that I could I understand what it means to be humble and not arrogant. What it means to be, people say in order to maintain your wealth, this is like when you're in the industry, they always talk about being humble because the people that you are being humble with on the way up may be the same people that you are going to see on the way down. I'm like, just be fair with them. Just be fair. Nobody said to tuck your tail and keep your head down. Be fair with the people on the way up, and they will be fair with you if you happen to be on the way down. You don't necessarily have to practice humility. But at the end of the day, there's pros and cons to being humble. There's pros and cons to humility. When I see Brother Rich, I see a humble person. But I don't see a person who thinks lower of themselves. I just see a man who approaches people and treats them as his equal. I see a man who wants for his brothers as he wants for himself. I see a man who does not flaunt and style on people and say, make people feel bad about what they don't have. So being humble or having a humility to oneself, right? I think that we may have to redefine that term because that does not apply to the definition that you just read. So we're victims of not knowing the etymology of words, or not knowing the connotative meaning of words, or not knowing the actual terms that these words represent. You feel what I'm saying? So I would have to apply a new word to you. You dig what I'm saying? Because some people may be like, yo, if you're humble, then you're meek. And because I'm not meek, you know what I mean? The meek shall inherit the earth. I don't identify with being meek, so I probably don't need to be identifying as being humble. You feel what I'm saying? So that is a term that is definitely something that needs to be explored. Our people need to re-examine calling themselves that or being, humble and walking in humility, because ultimately we understand the concept that we're trying to purvey, but ultimately what does that mean? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Leave your contact info, bro.
KTLempowerment@gmail.com, kingscounty.bigcartel.com. Holla at your boy. It's a humble clothing line. For the humble ones.
Kingly, nigga.
No, it's a kingly clothing line. For those amongst us who are seeing themselves in a king-like manner or a queen-like manner, Kings County, wherever you plant your feet is your kingdom. You are a king of your square in your county. You dig what I'm saying? You could be kind-hearted, right? And you could be fair, but I don't know too many humble kings. You know what I'm saying? Because in order to be a king, you might not be able to practice humility amongst people who would take kindness for weakness. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, let's start re-examining certain things and moving forward with some new definitions, some new terms, so we could actually begin to resonate differently and act differently towards each other. That's all. You know what I mean? Peace.
Peace, family. This is Brother Rich from UGR, urging all my viewers and subscribers to help support the channel by donating just $1 to the UGR PayPal account. We appreciate the viewership and support, and we understand the power of $1. If you benefit in any way, shape, or form, we ask that you donate $1, whether it be monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, or yearly, so that we can build our brand to compete with the NBCs, the MTVs, and the Foxes of the world. I figured since Kanye could ask Mark Zuckerberg for $1 billion, I could ask my subscribers to donate $1 so I could make the best possible content possible. The main objective of this channel is to inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. So hopefully throughout the years of you watching this program, you have been inspired to become the greatest version of yourself. If you would like to donate, you could go to www.paypal.com and send a donation to richandmerit7@yahoo.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your program.
Anthem on the track. Live from the land of snakes. With the same nigga playing your weight, wanna give your hands a shake. Bitch, we got bands to make, rubber bands to break. Guns and butter, that land on lake. Got bread, got plans to break the Brooklyn way. When Tony killed Manolo, had to look away. It's a war going on, starting to look like yay. A power warn is battle torn.